But just before we start the podcast for realsies, Autumn, did I ever tell you... No, you were there, surely. Did I ever tell you about the Delphi...
The tragedy of Dark Plagius the Wise? Let's jam. Hi, and welcome back to Fatboy Slim 2. Sorry. I mean, Overheard a UniSFA podcast. I'm John. I'm here with my good buddy Merlin, because Cam is in a corner, curled up like a little cat, sleeping. And our guest for this week is the lovely Autumn. Again.
Autumn 2, the sequel to Autumn.
I just realized you were on episode 2, and now you're on episode 22. So I think you're just going to have to be every 20 episodes we get you back.
Don't you mean I need to come back for episode 222?
No, you can be on episode 42. It's okay. We don't need to wait that long. The podcast
this works better.
Might not be here at 222. If we're still going at episode 222...
I think we should have a party for 222.
I think we should have a party.
Yeah.
This podcast, really does have a lot more momentum than probably most of the competition. Not this many podcasts can keep up weekly episodes like this.
I don't know. I feel like most podcasts that I'd listened to had weekly episodes.
Well, because you listen to them because they produced a decent backlog.
Mm.
True. I am hoping this time capsule of me and Cam and all the other lovely people we've had on this pod. Me and Cam and Merlin and all the other lovely people we've had on this podcast.
As well as the devious and distracting ones.
And the devious and distracting ones. I mean, I'd hope the people who come on this podcast are distracting. So people listen to them. So people, the voice. I hope you, our listener at home or on the bus, hears the voices of our guests and is like, "Oh, what's that?" Not Doug. You don't get to hear Doug's voice.
Fuck you, Doug. Get out of here.
You don't get to hear Doug's voice, and that's not your decision to make.
If you listen to this podcast while you're doing your job or any other kind of skilled work, you're distracting yourself, and it makes you a bad employee.
Yes.
It does.
You are committing time fraud, and I will be reporting you.
I'd also like to congratulate you on wasting your time at work in the best way possible by listening to Overheard UniSFA podcast. It's me, John.
So, John, it's been 20 episodes since I was last here.
Yeah.
And my question was going to be, do you have a structure or a format yet? And as I can see, you've added a second round of introductions. So, hi, my name is Autumn.
Yeah, so the first introductions were the abstract, and this is the actual introduction.
Yeah.
We were merely going over everything, the basic, the lay summary of the podcast.
Everything that we'll be covering over the course of the podcast has been covered, and there will be no new topics
It's like
to be
the
discussed.
first act of Homestuck, where it's all foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It's symbolism.
No, seriously, every single poster on John's bedroom wall in Homestuck foreshadows something in the story.
But they're already existing stories, though.
Yeah, but they're also all foreshadowing.
Okay. Well, you know how Hussey achieved that? By making everything possible a reference to Homestuck.
I don't know how he did it.
He was just clever enough to leave himself a lot of loopholes.
He was just clever enough to leave him a lot of loopholes and to also meet God.
Yeah, and also to meet God and Obama. Which,
pretty similar.
Oh, yeah. Obama could be described as a sort of meet God, being a deity incarnate.
Yeah, I mean, if God backwards plus is Obama.
Yeah. Look, I want to level. With the audience right
I'd
now.
like to level too, but my DM just keeps fucking not giving us enough.
Everyone else can level up, except you, John. You're staying at level 3. I don't really feel like you've earned it yet, from a character standpoint. But I want to level with the audience real quick. Is Obama a war criminal? Undeniably, yes. Fuck you too, I wasn't done with the sentence yet.
Jesus Christ.
promise we're getting back to lightheartedness.
Mr. Obama, he couldn't have.
Merlin, would you please
keep leveling? Keep leveling.
Yeah, no. Is
Get on
Obama
it.
a war criminal? Like, kind of indisputably, yes, he did. Yes, he was the president of the US. He oversaw, like, multiple wars. Is it funny to imply that Obama is the bestest, most beautiful, most innocent, perfect man who's ever lived? Yes. Also, indescribably, yes. He is the best man ever. He has never done anything wrong. And every action of his has been completely justified.
Oh, except for when he made that cookie too big.
What?
He made the cookie too big.
Obama cookie?
That one's just not for you, John. It's okay.
Obama
So,
cookie.
I do have to consider that time he let that person perish when the water was rising.
What about the time that he let Joe Biden bury a dog at the Democratic convention?
Well, yeah, he was the one that funded those Psionic Warriors training.
What about
Yeah.
when he shot Greedo to get rid of his debt?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no one's even talking about that
I
one.
feel like
I'm
yeah,
not sure
I
that's
feel
how
like
debt
Joe.
works.
I feel like Joe Biden, going and covering it up and saying Greedo shot first. You know, adding that to the story. Really,
Yeah.
I think if you owe me a million woolongs and you shoot me, you still owe my next of kin a million woolongs.
Yeah, the debt doesn't get erased just because you've performed an
yeah, that's why you
extrajudicial
get
murder.
rid of the next of kin as well.
Oh, yeah, and then it runs out of people, so you're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No,
No witnesses. Your debt has been erased.
No, what you do is if someone owes you a million wulong, you marry them, have a kid with them, kill them. Now, the next of kin is also yours. So now you get a million wulong because that person's owed a million wulong.
I think the
This is
debt would
kind
be
of like-
erased when you got married.
No, they still owe me.
Okay.
All
I
is
think
fair
this
in
is
love
kind
and
of
war.
like plugging a power cable into itself and generating infinite money. Which you can do, by the way. It's
Yeah.
just like generating infinite chocolate on Tumblr.com.
Yeah, if you is there no sort of heat leakage that comes off of the power, or do
No.
you get infinite heat leakage and you can use that as its own power source?
Oh yeah, that's two infinite power sources. So you
Like-
can have two infinite powers.
The bank keeps on getting all of the transaction fees from you transferring that money, and the bank gets infinite money as well.
Yeah.
Is this how banks work?
John has gone for a walk across the floor. John, take the floor.
John has
yeah,
the
I'm
floor.
on the floor. Everybody do the dinosaur. I'm doing like the Thriller dance because I think it looks a bit like a dinosaur.
Yeah, a
with
little
those
bit, yeah.
Arms.
Do they know what do they do in the? Is there a known dance to doing the dinosaur? It's a
It's the
song
little
about.
T-Rex hands,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. I think you were completely on point.
Yeah, I think he would just kind of like a stretched out T-Rex, like you put him under a rolling pin. Can I tell you about something I've been getting into recently?
Yeah.
I've been rewatching my favorite ever cooking channel, which is Kay's Cooking. I've been watching it at about 11 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh,
with
that's a
Jack
great
when
time.
we are like both awake after work and we can't go to sleep because we are too like hyped up from just being at work. Kay is a dreadful cook. There is no other way to describe it. I am not a great cook, right? And I feel like fucking Gordon Ramsay next to Kay. I have watched Kay get raw spaghetti, bundle mincemeat around the middle, put that in the oven,
Oh my
and
god.
call that a meal.
This rings a bell.
And then just pour bolognese sauce over it wholesale.
I'm fascinated by that. Okay, no, I can't dwell on the
The
thing.
spaghetti. I
can't
hate
dwell on the
raw
spaghetti thing.
raw pasta. Just
It tempts me way too
it does tempt you, but like
I bite it and then it's really bad.
there's like a
and
Yes.
mouth
I-
feel of raw pasta that like just thinking about it makes me like hurts my mouth.
Every single time that like
Ah.
someone in my house is making pasta, I'm like, "Oh, can I have a bit of spaghetti just to see if like the dry spaghetti texture has changed?" And then I crunch a little bit of dry spaghetti when they say yes. And then I'm like, "No, still bad. All
They
right,
should
I'll
patch
check
dry
again in a week."
spaghetti.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing a lot of lately. That's Kay's cooking. Kay, as she is cooking, one, doesn't appear to have, like, used any of her, like... Because she gets, like...
Brain cells.
Like, at least 10,000 views per video, right? Sometimes hundreds of thousands of views. She doesn't appear to be interested in upgrading her setup, which is fine. But also, her hot plate is always dirty. She doesn't oil her pans, which I find disturbing and intriguing.
I thought you said pants for a second.
No, she does oil the pants.
Okay, good. You gotta make sure they're slippery in case you ever need to make a getaway out of them.
And she always appears to be working off of more than one recipe at the same time. One is a written down recipe and one is a video. And she will, like, compare notes between the two, somehow expecting them to enmesh with, like, perfect...
Finally, cooking videos for the modern cooker. I'm the
Yeah.
chef.
I have several questions about where this is coming
Yes.
from. So, are they meant to be tutorial videos?
I don't know.
Or like, if they're more, they have to be more demonstrations because, like, she wouldn't be following someone else's recipe. She would be telling you her recipe if it were meant to be.
No, we
copying
do
it.
watch Kay cook things or burn things more often.
Okay, and like, how self-aware does she seem to be?
I don't know. She is selling merch. She appears to play everything completely straight. Like, I have not yet seen a break in the facade. Her son, like, visibly gags sometimes when he tastes her cooking. And I don't know if Kay is capable of, like, processing that.
I feel like there's, just because there's no, like, breaking the facade on video doesn't mean it's not fake. I feel like...
Yeah.
How old of a son are we talking?
We're talking, like, mid-30s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is not, like... Sons can live with their mothers for a whole amount of reasons.
Sons can live past their 30s.
But it's not a kind of, like, young child, oh, my mum can't possibly do any wrong or be a bad cook. This is like a man in his 30s who presumably has had, like, someone else cook for him at some point. Like, they are in England. He has had school meals.
Maybe he's like the straight man in this scenario, right?
Not to mention, just an adult is capable of restraining themselves from gagging out of politeness to an extent.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care. His poor old mum cooks some delicious oven spaghetti.
Yeah.
With meat.
Has Kay inspired
sleeve.
you to cook anything so far?
Kay has scared me away from many, many things, I have to say, like the egg slut sandwich.
What's this mayo?
Which I thought was going to be like a joke, but it really is kind of like an eggy salad sandwich. That I watched her bake a pie the other day, and she took the pie out of the oven, and the entire top was fucking black, and she was like, "It's come out perfectly." And I was like, "Hey, no."
She has the confidence.
Yeah. Kay cuts things directly on her hot plate. Like, no cutting board. I
respect
right
that.
next to, like, where something else will be, like, bubbly. Kay doesn't pre-prepare any of her vegetables. So she will get to where the pasta, like, some pasta for, like, a carbonara is, like, boiling away in a pot. And she will be like, okay, now it is time to chop bacon. And she will kind of, like, just drop bacon onto the hot plate and start, like, kind of aimlessly bashing a knife at it until it is in smaller pieces than it once was. And that's my review of Kay's cooking. If you ever thought you were a bad cook, don't worry. Definitely worse cooking methods can be demonstrated to you.
Oh, that's fantabulous.
I read this with a kind of, like, my immortal kind of hope where, like, definitely it could be faked, but I derive more enjoyment imagining that it's not, so that is what I am purposefully choosing to believe, no matter what the facts or logic tell me.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
Sometimes you have to ignore the facts and logic in favor of what's fun.
That's kind of how I feel about Star Wars Episode 8, actually.
Yeah?
No, I've fucking talked about Star Wars so much in recent episodes, but I've still got it on my mind just because the end was really good.
Are there some spicy Episode 8 takes on this podcast?
Yeah, me and Cam can't talk about Episode 8 on the same podcast for fear it will just utterly destroy our relationship.
It's true, yes.
It's a good thing that Cam's not here then.
Yeah. So the thing about how Episode 8 is that I enjoy Episode 8, and there's a lot of flaws with it and a lot of bad things that people point out about
bad
Episode.
things? I hate bad things. Bad things are the worst.
And how I feel about those is that I put my hands over my eyes and I pretend I do not see it, and it makes me enjoy the film a lot more.
Yeah. What I do when I'm watching a movie is if it's bad, I just rewrite it in my head until it's good, and then I have watched the movie.
Dang, you really must not like the storyline arc, man.
Like, I don't think it's that controversial to take to say that a movie that has a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff has more value than a movie that's completely bland the whole way through.
Yeah.
My joke before was that.
So this is my exact take with Inception, right? I'm gonna get hunted down by a lot of like movie guys, TM.
Blah.
Okay, but Inception was fine. It was a good movie. It was well constructed. It was a fun, interesting experience, and then I watched it, and the experience was over. I didn't like the ending of Inception. I feel like unclear endings can be done well, but I didn't like the way it was done in Inception because I thought coming down on a definitive side would have been like more powerful. But that's my take. Anyway,
that's how I feel about it too. It's like this movie, I watched it and I enjoyed it, and now it's done. But I can't live with that. That's why I'm rewatching all the Star Wars movies. Next Monday, I'm doing 12-hour Star Wars movie marathon. I'm not even getting to the sequels. I'm watching the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy.
In that order?
Yes. There was some debates of it. I was like, I'm thinking of doing a marathon screening.
People want you to do the machete order.
The machete order.
No, it's pronounced machete.
It's not.
It is, though.
What does machete mean?
It's like a big sword.
No, that's a machete.
That's a machete.
It's a bit... No, you're thinking of the big knife.
Yeah.
Mel is talking about the big sword.
You know, like a regular sword, but bigger.
I search up machete and it just comes up
big.
with the series starring fucking... It comes up with the machete series.
Yeah, no, the machete series I thought was going to be bad, but actually the first machete movie fucking rules. That is one of the best movies that I've genuinely ever watched. If you are not afraid of gore and you like fucking sick action movies, highly recommend Machete. It was great the whole way through. And then he goes to Spy Kids and becomes a fun uncle.
Yeah.
It's
he's
got
also
6.6 out
there.
of 10 on IMDb.
That is wrong. That is so wrong.
71% Rotten Tomatoes, 3 out of 5 Letterboxd.
Do we disagree with IMDb? I've just realized my shirt's inside out. Do we disagree with IMDb on this podcast?
I love to disagree with IMDb.
Okay, hold up. I'm searching up the IMDb for Last Jedi.
No, wait, yeah.
And sorry, what I was saying about Inception, right, was that Inception was, like, just a one-time experience, because it was good and there was nothing else there. Whereas with something bad, like Machete, or Riverdale, or Episode 8, maybe, if I'd seen it, which I haven't, is that with a bad story, the storytelling components don't quite click together, which makes them all more visible than they should be. Because, like, storytelling construction is almost like lighting, where if it's being done really well, you almost don't notice it because it flows in with the rest of the movie. But then when it doesn't come completely together, it's fun to just kind of look at where things went wrong and like the kind of zany effect that it is like rippling out to have on the rest of the movie. And that's fun for me. And really annoying for anyone who's trying to watch a movie with me.
Sorry, I was looking at the IMDb page for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
Yeah?
So it's 6.9 out of 10, and I'm going to be honest, I gotta agree with
Nice.
that. It's higher than Machete, and I can take that. So Merle, okay, here's my pitch for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I mentioned Machete, but better.
I don't think I can do that.
I know, right? You can't imagine
Okay,
it. That's
so-
why you need to see the film.
Greatest movies ever ranked.
Rango.
Yeah. Okay. So, these are all the movies ever, by the way.
Rango.
Elf,
Yep.
Rango,
Yep.
Morbius, Machete.
Yeah. Okay. What about where does Star Wars: The Last Jedi come in?
That's not a movie.
Yeah.
They didn't make that
That
one.
makes sense.
It was just 2 TV show episodes.
Yeah.
So
Where does S Cascade enter?
that's a TV show.
That's a Gustav's work.
It's an ancient poem, actually.
Yeah. I would call that a saga. I would call it an. I was about to say operetta, as though it's
Would
a
you call it a
synonym.
complete saga, like a Lego Star Wars?
No.
Again, I've been watching a lot of speed. Again, I mentioned this before the podcast. I've been watching a lot of speed running.
Yeah, tell us about
History
speedruns.
So there's this guy on YouTube, Summoning Salt, and he does these really in-depth, good videos looking at certain games and the history of their speedrunning. So I watched the history of Lego Star Wars, the complete saga speedrunning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost 2 hours long.
Ooh.
And it's really good because
You've got me hooked in with a 2-hour video
it's
essay.
1 hour, 40 minutes just going through the progression of like how they make it faster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so, like halfway through the video, so you've got these 3 skips, DV1, DV3, and DV4, and a new skip was found, named DV2. And now what it involves is on the Darth Vader second level. Here, where usually you jump to this platform and then up here, but you can get R2 up to this platform, then stand on it, and then clip through the wall, and then go through, and you skip the level.
Oh, nice.
But the clip is really hard, and you can't go too high or too low after going through the wall, or you're teleport back in. That's what fucking Juicy Jumper 69 used to get the new world record, a 1:43. That was never done, but that kind of thing. Except it's actually like except you get to the end and you're like, we Super E Roadhouse. Yeah, these guys are like celebrities to me.
And then this is a great bit to be doing while Games Done Quick is currently happening.
Oh yeah.
And we've like.
What is Games Done Quick? I've heard a lot about it
So it's
recently.
when you do a game really quick.
Okay, yep. Well, because I thought it might be building a game really quickly, but is it just doing a game?
It's a lot of speedruns in a row.
Okay.
It's like a little organization that does these like charity live streams where they get a bunch of speedrunners on to
sick.
show off their speedruns for various games. They're really entertaining because it's not just you're watching a speedrun. They have the speedrunner, and then they also have the host, a host, and the host will talk through the audience what's happening and the various tricks.
Yeah, so
of
the
the
speedrunner
game.
can focus. I
Yeah,
presume.
and sometimes in like some of the the later bits, the speedrunner will look at some, and it's really interesting. Sometimes you'll learn about new games you've never seen before, and you get to learn a bit about the development and the various tricks of them sometimes, and it's really fun to watch these speedruns. Do you have any favorite like Games Done Quick speedruns that you've watched?
Any favorite Games Done Quick speedrun?
There's you find out some really weird things about games through some of them.
God, they've been going for years. I really struggled to pick one. I always enjoyed the Tazbot blocks where they got out that funny little rod holding the controller.
Taz is what's it? What does it
The
stand
Adventure
for?
Zone, I believe.
It's
this is
TAS.
a tool-assisted
tool-assisted
speedrun.
speedrun.
It's
So
where you can the tools here being like pausing the game, slow motioning the game,
Okay.
rewinding the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
or like,
okay.
Or like predefining.
Yeah,
inputs.
the ones I've seen is so they can basically, instead of a human doing the speedrun, they basically program the speedrun. So they program like every input for every frame.
Yeah.
And it's very fun watching a Portal speedrun, which is literally like inhumanly possible.
Yeah, Winsley
that
told me
fast.
about the Portal airboat speedrun.
Airboat?
Yeah.
I only know the one of the Taz speedrun where it does things that are like not humanly possible because of how fast they are.
It doesn't even seem like out of all games, it's not even that out of character for Portal since the whole like your character
Yeah, the
is
fourth
already
wall and everything, yeah.
well, Chell is already completely ignoring the person that's talking to her the whole game.
Yeah, she may as well be ignoring you as well.
Yeah, I mean,
So when you
she has
said
been. She hasn't picked up a
tool-assisted,
single one of my calls.
What I was imagining was, like, holding up one of the, like, sticks with, like...
With a rubber band?
Yeah, with, like, a wrench so that you could keep running while you were putting in other inputs as well. Like, some kind of Sonic always be moving, like, right thing, but you could, like, jump better because you had your hand free in order to facilitate that.
I can't think of a specific game, but there are definitely games out there where you put a rubber band on the stick to use it to, like, do the game quickly.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
And then
What
as
game would you guys speedrun?
Oh,
Or what game do you think you guys would be best at speedrunning?
I've done a little bit of speedrunning in my
Just
time.
a little bit? Because I know
Tiny
Autumn herself
bit.
has her own history with speedruns.
Yeah.
My tiny history of speedruns, because I'm going to start with it because it's less impressive than
Yeah.
Autumn's, is that there's this...
I mean, if anything, we should start with mine because mine's even less impressive
okay, let's start
than
with
yours.
your speedrun, Merlin.
Zero at anything. I've never done any speedruns. Ta-da!
Just speedrunning getting through this podcast episode.
Oh.
If you,
Alright, in and out, Morty, 10-minute podcast.
To do that would be to slam the end button right now.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
This has been a podcast.
No, this is where okay. At this point,
So-
I have edited in the outro music and then cut it off, and the podcast will keep going.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
It'll be
Lego Star
funny.
Wars game have you speedrun, John?
I haven't speedrun any of them. The one game I speedran, like, I didn't like grab out a timer for it. It has an in-game timer, and I haven't like uploaded myself to any or recorded it. I just do it for fun on my own time. It's this really short little indie platformer called Refunct. If you know me, I may have bought this game for you because it's like $5, and anytime I bring it up, I'm just like, "Hey, do you want it?" And I'll just buy it for. Hey, do you guys want Refunct?
Well,
If you listen to this episode, literally message me. I'll buy you Refunct. It's this really short, calm little 3D platformer.
yeah.
I don't know even where I got it. I must have got it in like a free bundle somewhere. I played it, and it was such like a chill, fun experience. It was like 15 minutes to play. Actually longer because I went and got all the collectibles. And the platform was so smooth. It was so enjoyable. It was so simple. And the music was great and calming. The visuals it's just on this like kind of like you're just on these like square platforms that kind of rise up out of water. So you start with on the just like 5 platforms. They rise up out of this like glistening water that's like at sunrise or sunset.
Yeah, it's like glimmering and shit.
Yeah, every time they're just like gray blocks that rise up the ocean. Every time you jump on them, they turn colorful. Like the gray turns into like dirt and there's grass on top. So you just walk around jumping on these little platforms. They turn colors, they make a little sound, and this calming music, and you're in this beautiful like lake, and it's just really great. And I just ended up speedrunning because I can speedrun in like 3.5 minutes.
Neat.
And it's fun to like jump around. Yeah, go if you're listening to this podcast. I'll buy you a Refund. Go play that game because I love it.
Sick.
Whoever messages John about it first gets the world record.
Guess the what? Yeah, messaging me about Refund speedrun.
Yeah, we are auctioning off John's Guinness World Record for the fastest refund speedrun.
If you can beat me in it, try. Just try. What's your speedrunning, Autumn?
Well, yeah, people who've known me for a few years will have heard of most of these, but I have a couple of games I used to speedrun that I'm on the leaderboards for. I had some old movie games. I'm on the leaderboard for Ice Age 2 on the GameCube, and I used to be the first person to start running Looney Tunes Back in Action on the GameCube, so I
love
was
a
the world
shit
record
movie
holder for that.
like shovelware game. That's
Yeah,
so good.
I love
Yeah.
the speedruns of them too.
And I have... there's going to be like 1 or 2 I'm forgetting here. I think I am on the Mario Odyssey and Celeste leaderboards.
Oh,
but
that's pretty impressive.
Oh wow.
I didn't... No, submitting a run gets you onto the leaderboard. But yeah,
That's
I practiced those a while.
Yeah.
I've seen Mario Odyssey speedruns and they're like, the movement is insane.
It's a good game to
I
play.
imagine it's quite the workout.
It just has... honestly, if it had like maybe a third as many unskippable cutscenes, I would be like way more into it. But you're just like stopping every now and again so that Mario can watch like a 2-second cutscene. And then there's also like basically all of the Shovel Knight games. I've learnt those. I've run a lot of Plague Knights, Shovel Knight, Plague of Shadows.
So you're a bit into the shovelware and the Shovel Knights.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say the one that definitely gave me the most brainworms was Looney Tunes Back in Action. I have a lot of those really repeated, pre-recorded lines, and I feel like one day I'm going to play Gex, and I'm going to be like, this is where it all began. This is where cartoon. Gex didn't even invent it. Bubsy was spouting one-liners before Gex, but like Gex started in 2D anyway. But Gex is the 3D mascot platformer that says absolute bullshit one-liners constantly. The thing that gets me about Gex's one-liners is that he's always talking about celebrities' homes. I can't name a single celebrity that Gex would have found like
Brad Pitt.
I reckon.
Contemporary.
Do you think Gex
in the
would have been
90s?
Gex?
George Clooney?
Yeah, but he'll be like, this is worse than that party I went to at George Clooney's house, something like that.
Do you think Gex would be like,
Claire
Tommy
Danes?
Tallarico never did have an MTV Cribs episode?
But I don't blame Gex for name dropping celebrities. That's his deal. Why does he just think that their houses are the only things that represent them?
I mean, a house is an extension of yourself.
It's a commentary on how, like, the people, just like the houses, are, like, devoid of, like, real substance and meaning.
Yeah. Well, you could... If you want to say Danny DeVito is strange, I can't think...
I would hate to say that.
Yeah.
He's a lovely little man who I would like to bundle in a blanket and give a mug of hot chocolate to.
Yeah. Gex would say, this is weirder than that weekend I spent at Danny DeVito's house.
I think you could spend a weird weekend with Danny DeVito. I don't think you could spend a strange one.
This is my pet peeve about Gex, whose games I've never played, and when I have played Gex 2 Enter the Gecko, I'll come back and report on it.
Autumn, I found something online. Gex quote generator.
Yeah, all right, give me one.
Piranhas? What piranhas?
Can we just get one of these for each opening of the podcast? We don't even...
All that work and I'm back where I started. It's just like college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, his lines were written by a real comedian. You're just stealing a celebrity
real
comedian.
as in corporeal.
Yeah.
Boys, Tron's not gonna work once. It's not gonna work twice.
What?
Boys, Trons.
I don't... Okay.
That's not in the script.
Yeah, right, that's pretty funny.
Waiter, just box up the evil and I'll take it home. Okay.
Why would he say that?
He wants to take the evil home.
Yeah,
I mean, when I've had
evil for now.
I mean, when I've had a really, really spicy curry that I don't want anymore.
He's got to be...
Indian place, waiter, just box it up, the evil. I'll take it home.
He's got to be one of the more persisting mascot platformers from that era, because he was coexisting with Lara Croft.
Yeah.
Crystal Dynamics was the studio that made Gex and Tomb Raider, and they were the Gex and Tomb Raider. I'm sure they made other things.
The Gex Raiders, the Tomb Gex.
But Gex and Lara Croft were bosom buddies.
Yes.
What?
Lara's significantly more literal.
Yeah.
What?
Gex has a relation to bosoms.
Okay, so there's been something important on my mind that I
I'll
wanted
beat
to
this
talk
level,
to the
but
audience
in an
about.
hour I'll be hungry for another.
I want to talk to everyone about lizard titties.
Liddies?
The liddies.
The tizzers.
Should they have them? Why do they have them? Let's just really go off the rails here.
I feel like this is a debate that comes up a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I've heard this before.
We've never had it here on the podcast,
lizard titty,
have we?
because so
Look.
the context being that a lot of the times in fantasy and sci-fi thing, I don't know,
non-mammalian organisms have
reptilian-looking
breasts.
species, the snake people or whatever, have breasts. At least,
Yeah. Which theoretically, if they were reptiles, they'd be laying eggs, and there would be no need for them to supply their young with milk, because after you hatch from the egg, theoretically you are a self-sufficient being, and you should be eating solid food by that point.
And so it's theorized that it's just because they're trying to make them look human.
Yeah.
And
Which I honestly think is
no one knows.
Yeah,
it's
no
only
one
theorized. No one knows why we're drawing tits onto these lizard ladies.
No one. Yeah, I mean, it's probably just because in
Yeah.
like old school fantasy, I don't know.
Every
Every woman must have tits.
Yeah, well, every man thing was like a huge, like, inverted triangle of, like, buff brawniness. And every kind of, like, womanish thing was like an hourglass full of, like, boob and ass and nothing else.
Sorry, I searched this up. Apparently, this was a big debate, specifically on D&D Reddit 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was a page for it called Tittygate 2021.
Oh, well, okay,
Like, because I think it is a little fine. It shouldn't be your only motivation, but it is fine to make some lizard characters sexy to your human audience.
absolutely. And I think it's completely possible to, like, mammary up your reptilian characters in a way that isn't just eye candy. Like,
Yeah.
if you make that design decision, you, like, there are humans who have breasts,
Yeah.
and, like,
You can sprinkle
Yeah.
a little
Well,
bit of
that's
cleave
true.
in there if you want,
Yeah.
but, like, that's gotta not be the sole focus. That's gotta be an accoutrement to the story you're telling.
yeah.
What if... Okay, so the lizard in Twilight Imperium, 4th edition, my favorite sci-fi board game,
Uh-huh.
there is a lizard faction called the Nalu Collective.
Yes.
And they are, like, snake-looking people,
Mm-hmm.
and they have titties.
Yes.
Right.
That's allowed.
However, on their... So... on the faction sheet, on one side, like all faction sheets, you know, in Twilight Imperium, you have, like,
Yeah.
the game stats and whatnot. On the other side, you have lore and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the lore is you get a little, like, one-word thing. So you get, like, you know, their system, which has the population, 4.72 billion. Their government, collective, their leadership, the Queshish, their tendencies, military.
I'm scared
and
about where
also
this
their
is going.
disposition,
Yep.
which for the Nalu Collective is
Unrepentant lust.
seductive.
Yep.
So, could
Look.
there perhaps be... Here's a picture, by the way.
We all read The Lusty Argonian Maid. We all know where this ends. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What does it mean to describe a whole society as seductive? Like, if your society isn't, to some extent, seducing each other, then you're not going to continue to persist.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
can
also
be-
feel like that's a real,
You can
like,
be asexual.
we're
like,
about to
asexual
really play on,
reproduction.
like, kind of racist themes of exoticization.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say
Absolutely.
that this was not... This didn't seem to be information about the entire faction, just their home system.
So if they leave the solar system, do they stop being hot?
They stop having a seductive disposition, perhaps.
They stop needing
It's
to
a
fuck?
cultural thing, maybe.
Okay, so maybe
Maybe
the
they're just a
sun
very flirty
works
culture.
like it does in, like, C.S. Lewis's sci-fi books, where if you get up into space, like C.S. Lewis does... Well,
You know,
C.S.
everyone-
Lewis doesn't. The character in the book
No, as
does.
C.S. Lewis does.
Yeah, okay, fine. It's C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis goes up
Call him
into
C.
space.
Earth Lewis, the way he goes up into the space.
Yeah. And then he's in space and he's looking at the sun and he's like, wow, oh my god, this is energizing me so much. I can do anything I want now. I could run like 1,000,000 billion miles. And it's just like that for them, except once they go away from their home system, they lose the need to seduce others.
This is what the ozone layer is blocking from us. If the ozone layer wasn't blocking the sun's energizing rays, we could all be pulling 20-hour days.
Well, like... Autumn, I don't know if you have noticed this, but there's a huge hole in the ozone layer right above Australia, and that's why we've all been
been fixed.
unrepentantly
It's been
fucking for
fixed.
the
It's
last 20 years.
slowly being repaired.
Yeah,
Eventually
well,
it'll be
that's why
repaired
we've all
and then
been
there will
having
be
less
no
sex
more.
recently. That's why any of us have time to make this podcast. We finally have a break from,
Yeah.
like, wall-to-wall sex.
Ugh.
I'm exhausted.
Why, yes, I'm here to pick up my laundry.
Wow, wow, wow.
That was a Gex quote.
Ah.
Oh, no.
I
I thought
generated
that was
one.
you
I generated
leading into,
one.
like, some kind of, like, incredibly horny, like, laundry bit.
No, I thought this was going to be a porno intro.
Yeah.
Oh no!
No,
This
okay.
I've generated.
Which doesn't exclude
I've,
Gex.
I've generated another Gex quote that would be a porno intro.
Yep.
Oh great! The dream sequence from Brazil again.
So, if you guys were gonna make a porno, what would your, like, ideal, like, strange situation be? You know, like a lemon stealing whore, or like I ordered a pizza, but I don't have any money.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Maybe like a government building that's gone into lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, like all of those metal shutters have come down, and like they're not going to be able to get them up for another 20 hours.
The
'cause
only
no one
thing
planned for
stopping
this.
every single person in a government building from exploding into orgy is the windows.
Yeah,
It's the lack
people
of
are
metal
looking in from the
shutters.
outside.
Oh, but then it would be more scandalous because it would be, someone.
Well, we got 20 hours to kill, and I have a box of 12 condoms in my office. Want to do it? And then, like, you know, the sexy music would start playing over the PA system.
This is
I'd like to point out. Sorry, I'm still in the Gex quote, like, rabbit
Get off
hole.
the Gex, John.
Okay, I'm now looking at real Gex quotes
Yeah.
rather than generated one. When Gex collects the collectibles, if this weren't a video game, I'd be on my way to prison.
What are the collectibles in Gex? Is it cocaine?
Gex drug mule.
Is it just, like, individual 8 balls?
Grabbing a ledge with tongue. A little tongue now, a lot of tail later. Pardon my tongue, darling.
I am repelled by this. Although I do think a Gex porno could be very profitable.
So the porno I was imagining is like, how do I... you said porno, my mind immediately went to the podcast My Dad Wrote a Porno, which I haven't... I listened to the first episode on,
Yeah.
but it didn't really grip me.
Yeah, no,
However,
that's fine.
I do associate a lot. So I'm like, what if like there was a scenario in which one of them was like, hey, have you heard of this nice, good podcast? My Dad Wrote a Porno. Would you like to write a porno with me? This is more just a pickup line.
That's just a pickup line.
God damn it.
What's the
Yeah, but I
what's
need
the
a
We need
scenario.
the strange set of circumstances.
Yeah, I need something
they're
weird.
at Podcast Appreciators Club.
Is this the new UWA club?
Yeah. I'm starting it.
Hi, UWA sock. I've decided that I'd like a club room to have orgies in. I don't care if there's a glass window on it. Can you sign this form for me, please?
Yeah, we'll just get some metal shutters. It's going to be called the Podcast Appreciators Society. The Pass.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they'll use it more than Leisure uses their room.
I mean, and we'll use it for basically the same thing.
Can we say that on SPG money?
Yes.
Look, if Leisure ever listens to this and complains, we can edit it out.
Oh,
we can take
okay.
it down.
The Gex quote generator doesn't make up a
still on
Gex
this.
quote.
Still on
It doesn't
Hold
make
on.
up a Gex quote. It
Hold on.
just gives you a Gex quote of the existing Gex quotes.
Yeah.
So those were all actual Gex quotes. I thought it was like an AI who would just like jumble the words together into making
Okay,
like
beautiful.
a Gex quote. Damn IRS.
All right.
Sorry.
I do have like another
One?
Twizzler, another puzzle for you guys.
Yeah.
But I do have to come up with my own porno scenario first.
Yes.
Yeah, of
And I
course.
think
Please.
what I would do, haha, LeMayo innuendo. What I would do is.
Luckily, I saved that rim shot audio file from last week's episode.
Oh, thank God. I would do some kind of pool bar based like misadventure. You know the bars that are in like the center of like a resort pool, and you can like
Oh.
swim up to them and like
Yeah.
order a little cocktail while
No,
you're,
those
like,
are
in the
very
pool.
sexy.
Yeah.
Are they just so like they have to do it under the bar and keep it private?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't hate. It would be quite hard to film.
Yes. Difficult to film. Also, like, probably not most people's cup of tea.
And
Wouldn't be my cup of tea.
And a really gross floor.
That's fine. We can clean it before the shoot.
Okay.
But
Like, look, okay, cards on the table. I don't watch a lot of pornography, right? Tried it once. I was like, this isn't for me. They don't look like they're enjoying themselves. Because I wanted to, like, try it before I wrote the experience off, and I said that it wasn't for me. So I don't watch a lot of porn, but I feel like, in general, porn doesn't have to hold up to, like, reality in the same way that, say, like a regular movie would. There
Yeah.
doesn't need to be, like, the facade of, oh, this is real, this, like, could happen, you don't need that suspension of disbelief, particularly if you're going for, like, kind of an exhibitionism route, as you would with the pool bar, or, like, your
Absolutely.
locked-down government building. Sorry for the podcast listeners, I end up talking about, like, sexual subjects a lot on this podcast.
Just like Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, pornography is way more enjoyable if you have a large suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
And you just pretend you don't see the bits that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Just like there's some really good bits and some really bad bits. And
Yeah.
You just have to cheer for the good bit.
Yeah. I don't know, I've been having a lot of thoughts lately about how we process, like, sexuality and arousal as, like, a society, and how it's, like, kind of like this very shameful private thing a lot of the time. And, like, it being private is not necessarily a bad thing, but the shame definitely is. And I think the shame also ties, like, arousal to this sort of, sense that it should be, or it is by definition, this kind of, like, almost shameful art, like, even below, like, a pop culture level of, like, denigration of media. And I don't think that should necessarily be the case. I think pornographic movies can be, like, artistic and expressive in their own way, even if, like, the primary, like, intended emotion is, you know, horniness on part of the viewer. That's not a bad emotion. Even if it is something that you might necessarily want to be a little bit more separate from than, say, the author's, sadness, because I feel like sadness is a little more universal.
Yeah. Plus, yeah.
What do you mean by, like...
There's heaps of mainstream media that, like, as a side goal, aims to turn on the viewer.
Yeah.
And you can't, like, yeah.
What is the defining
I feel
line?
like, yeah, it's like, I mean, just media for ages, forever, has, like, tried to do that, just by, like, getting people who are attractive, right?
Yeah,
like,
a
to
lot
varying
of media
extents.
is really horny.
To varying extents, but it's always kind of there.
Yeah, like, you can have, you know, like, stock standard Hollywood movie where they have, like, attractive actors who are in, like, full faces of makeup, and they have designer tailored clothes, and they're wearing girdles underneath their suits so that none of their, like, you know, the little, like, sliver of baby fat that they have never shows up. Or, like, on the, like, other end of the spectrum, you have, like, you know, erotic actors who are, like, doing actively sexual things constantly at the moment that you are watching them. And I feel like we've seen, like, particularly prestige TV, like, slowly slide down that spectrum. Like, I think Game of Thrones really, like, ushered in, like, an age where it was more okay to have, like, sex scenes.
I haven't watched Game
television.
of Thrones, but I've heard, like, very little about the first season, apart from, like, it's full of sex scenes.
I think it would be interesting to compare. I say this as someone who I might have
Game of Thrones was fine.
I might have only seen 2 of them, but it would be interesting to compare the James Bonds over the decades to see how the different directors handle good old James getting a leg over.
Yeah, particularly because, like, sex scenes are, like, rife with misogyny, and I feel like especially using that angle could be a really interesting and potent way of addressing that. And a lot of this discussion is just coming off the top of my head. I would have to check, like, an actual, like, study if I were to, like, go and, like, write something down about this. But as I remember it, and I'm using the words woman and man just because that's how we understand gender within, like, mainstream media. Imagine, like, the explanation with all the requisite, like, asterisks next to every single term. But I'm just truncating everything because I'm tired and it's warm and you guys know what I mean. You guys know what I'm about.
You don't even have a fan pointed at email.
Yeah, I don't. That's fine. But, like, a man's orgasm can be shown in an M-rated movie, I believe. If it's not direct, like, if you don't see any fluid, you don't see, like, any part of the phallus, you can have, like, the inference, the noise, like, maybe, like a vocal reference to it, and that's, like, fine for an M-rated movie, but if you do the same for, like, a woman, it pushes the rating up into R. And I think that that's really...
I had never heard of this. Are we talking about Australian ratings? Or
I'm not sure. Like I said, I would have to go and double check it.
Yeah.
But yeah, women's orgasms are seen as like a lot more inherently sexual than men's orgasms, and I think that that's gross.
Yeah, and and like we're getting back into the Twilight Imperium lizard women. Like that argument happens because people say it's unnecessary to slap tits on the lizard people. Because the only motivation you could have for doing that is to turn people on. A, that's not the only motivation, and B, absolute bad? Question mark.
Yeah.
And then, as well as that side of maybe or maybe not sexism, you get all of that exoticism that we were also pulling in of like, ooh, the exotic, seductive lizard women.
Yeah. And also, like, especially from a live TV standpoint, like, do you want every woman on set to be binding constantly while you are filming? Is that... I don't know.
I think the counter argument to, like, it's, or at least one of the arguments I'm seeing here about, like, you know, against, lizard titties is...
It all comes back to lizard titties.
Yeah.
Is, like, I'm seeing this in a format of this guy from The Office.
That's it, John Krasinski, tell it.
Yeah, people who complain about lizard folk groups aren't mad that you got the biology wrong. They're tired of women in fantasy being reduced to walking tits and tacking memories onto reptiles is the most ridiculous example. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's the most ridiculous example. I think that...
But like the general argument...
I think if you were making that argument, you have to look at, like, the general, like, sexual dimorphism of every species within that setting before you can make a definitive judgment. Because if it is a really, like, obvious, like, men buff, women titty kind of thing, then, like, yeah, clearly the purpose is to establish, like, strongly contrasted and visible gender roles, which you can then use for, like, viewer self-inserts at, like, opportune moments.
Yeah, the point of science fiction, it's not to say something scientific about aliens, it's to say something fictional about society. So, like, when you're slapping these gender flags onto your aliens, it's not because you want to say something about how alien gender works, it's because you want to flag them as being gendered like people, because you're trying to say something about people.
Yeah.
And it might be that you're trying to say, I see women as sexy objects. And it might be because you're trying to say something about women.
Yeah.
Something about women.
Or you might be, like, trying to contrast, I don't know, several different kinds of, like, gender role sets that could conceivably exist in the future, and you're just using lizards because it is, like, fun in a world-building perspective and easier for the reader if all of your made-up aliens are significantly different from each other.
Valid points. While we're talking about alien gender, is this a time for you to share your thoughts, or which I hope you have, on troll gender? Do you have thoughts on troll gender? For reference, what I'm asking about is in the webcomic Homestuck, which everyone here loves a lot, many of the main characters are a species of alien called trolls. And it is very well established that they have gender. There is, like, male trolls, female trolls.
Yeah.
However, it's established that trolls do not reproduce in the same way as humans.
Trolls do not have an incubatory period, like, analogous to, like, an earth mammal.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They're kind of born from, like, a different creature, almost. And also,
they have a symbiotic relationship with, what's called the mother grub, who incubates the, genetic material of trolls, and then, like, almost like a frog, like, gives birth to, like, thousands of eggs all at once in the
trolls are
breeding
also
caverns.
a majority bisexual and can, you know, and seem to be able to reproduce regardless of whatever gender, sex, or
they are
whatnot.
naturally polyamorous.
Yes, polyamorous and bisexual, regardless of what, you know, their
really insufferable
partner
quiz
is.
Faces on Earth, you'll get the same takes.
So the question is, when you read Homestuck, is that you think, oh, they, you know, where did the concept of gender get introduced into troll society? right? And why is there... Because there's, like, the different dimorphisms of, like,
Yes.
you know, male and female trolls in general, right?
Yes.
Like, there is...
So I have a shitpost answer and a real answer
Okay,
for you.
I want... Give me the real answer first.
Okay, so...
Because the shitpost answer can be the palate cleanser.
Yeah. So my real answer is that there is nothing to suggest that the, like, sexual layout of trolls differs between sexes or genders. I'm gonna say sexes because we're talking about, like, the actual, like, body makeup, and I think that that's just kind of, like, there's no great term to use for that,
Also,
but it'll do.
I believe it's established... I just remember somewhere a quote in that troll boobs do have a purpose, but it's different to humans. And
Weird
that it's
and
never
interesting.
elaborated.
There
on.
are a lot of euphemisms for parts of troll genitalia.
There sure are.
Yeah. Which have been, like, kind of been sorted into, like, probably, like, analogies for vaginas, probably analogies for penis/testicles, and then kind of like a misc box. But also we have rumble spheres, which could be boobs or testicles.
I want to do some research on rumble spheres.
Yeah, do some research on rumble spheres. So, what I like to believe, at least, is that, like, there is no, or there's, like, quite little sexual dimorphism, with regards to primary sex characteristics. Sorry that I'm making eye contact with you so much, Autumn. I'm very aware of it, and it's just because you're sitting across from me.
I'm listening.
And also because of our passionate relationship that we have.
Yeah, rumble spheres refers to breasts. And it's Aaron. It's on the page.
Yeah,
it's on page 5,000 and something.
Spheres?
Yeah, so Aaron is freaking out, and Mina says, "Clam your rumble spheres."
Yes, of course.
So
With the
calm your
requisite fish
tits.
pun.
So, like, as we talk about troll gender as gender, the social constructs,
Yeah.
like, it is... It seems deeply irrational in a way that I'm not going to put a number on how rational gender as a social construct for
Oh
humans
my god,
is.
I have such a spicy take to deploy later in this conversation. John, don't you dare leave.
But like
You're getting into the gender.
I just wanted to fix Autumn's mic.
the constructs in troll society are like that. They are obscene parodies of human society as shortcuts to be funny.
Yeah.
Like the biggest one of these is like their movies and their actors. The existence of troll Will Smith. It doesn't make sense. Why would their society have evolved this way? It is only constructed to be a funny parody
Yes.
of humanity.
I think the
Or
theory...
a quick punchline.
No, I think the theory of that is that celebrities are a multiversal constant.
Yeah.
So no matter what universe you're in, you have the same celebrities.
John, I don't know how to tell you, but Homestuck isn't real and it was made up. Troll Will Smith doesn't exist because of multiversal Will Smith.
Okay.
He exists because Hussey
I want
wrote
your
him that
I want
way.
your evidence against I want your evidence against the multiversal celebrity theory, huh?
Even if Will Smith is multiversal, this is one universe that real Will Smith and fictional troll Will Smith exist.
All I'm saying, right, is the evidence against multiversal... There's the evidence for multiversal celebrity theory is Homestuck's troll Will Smith, and the evidence against multiversal celebrity theory is nothing. There is none, right? There is no evidence against it. Thus, multiversal celebrity theory can be supported.
So all the troll stuff is bullshit and made up to be funny.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Yeah, sorry. I have a sub-real answer. I can't remember who I was discussing this with, but yeah, I don't think that trolls have genders that are, like, completely one-to-one, like, equivalent to, like, how we experience gender here on Earth, because they don't have the same, like, bifurcated, like, sexual organs. So, like, I feel like... Which is not to say that gender is completely rooted in sex, but to say that they are not interlinked concepts,
Yeah,
I feel would be a lie.
Yeah, our like human gender constructs are like not.
I don't want to say rooted, but deeply attached to.
Well, they're not. They're just like humans justify them by using reproductive roles.
Yes.
And those
And to
reproductive roles
remove
don't
that-
exist for trolls.
Yeah.
Yes, to remove that, I feel would be to remove a large chunk of like how we formulate and understand our gender roles. And even like as a trans person, I can't divest myself of those like reproductive roles. They are how, like, partially how I orient myself with regards to like new and old social roles. Like, they kind of determine like what transition looks like for a person. Or not completely, like, no one has to, like, pass as, like, a new gender. Is this making any fucking sense
Keep going,
whatsoever?
keep going.
There's a bit of sense here.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I am picking up some of the things you're putting down.
Yeah.
I'm gathering some of that magic.
I think my ideal, like, way that gender would work in any society is that it would be kind of like a guide rail, and you could spend your entire life with your hand, like, tightly, like, white-knuckled gripping the guardrail if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But you could also just walk away from it. And then you can be as attached to it or, like, as not touching it as you wanted to.
You can go freestyle.
And that wouldn't be bad, but, like, people might still define you a little bit.
Is the problem
By
now
it,
that, some
they're-
people are like, why are you not touching the guardrail?
Yeah.
Put your hand back on the fuck.
You are going to fall off the guardrail,
Please
and
keep-
that would clearly be a bad thing.
Please keep all hands inside the gender vehicle at all times.
But yeah, like I was saying, if the trolls don't have the reproductive setup that humans do, that means that they don't have that same... Not the same guardrail, but the same, like, kind of traditional expectations that we pass down, like, culturally. Because, like, the social norms, the social gendered norms that we use are, like, Western Christian social gendered norms.
Yeah. What's
that
your...
have- That have been passed down for, like, 1,500 years.
And counting.
Counting.
What's your shitpost answer?
My shitpost answer is that Troll Will Smith did it.
That's Gecko Chop, baby. Gecko Chop, baby.
Gecko Chop, baby!
You, my friend, have an
What?
eating disorder. What the fuck?
King Solomon be like, no,
What?
no.
What did you say? I was too
We'll
busy
move on
looking
from
at
that
Gex quotes. God damn it, Gex quotes are ruining my life.
Yeah, I know. They're ruining the podcast.
So
They're not ruining it, they're making it better.
So something that's no longer ruining my life is
Ooh.
the my favorite man in the world, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle estate. This is my personal bit.
I think I genuinely thought you were going to say your dad.
This is the personal bit I
Has
do
Dad
for
been-
myself,
Oh,
where,
yeah, yeah,
where I
yeah.
imply that
Bugs.
estate is part of his name as well.
Yeah.
That's just for me. No one seems to.
No
get
one,
it.
no one,
No,
at,
that's fun.
no one at home or on the bus laugh at that.
I do jokes just for myself sometimes. Sometimes you just need to give yourself a little treat.
Yeah,
A
Me
little
too.
gift.
It's called reading out Gex quotes.
But it's been a week to enjoy the fact that they finally lost their final slip. The last two Sherlock Holmes stories have come out of copyright in the
Yeah.
US, which is the only place they still had copyright.
Yeah. Sherlock
on-
can fuck without condoms now. How exciting is that?
So this is a very interesting interpretation I've been seeing all over the place. That the implication of what you just said is that Sherlock was fucking without condoms in those last two stories.
Yeah.
The last two that Sir
Yeah.
Conan Doyle wrote.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we just couldn't infringe on that copyright until
Yeah.
now. That was
Yeah.
the only thing that was preventing it.
Sure was.
Yeah, he was gay in those last two.
Yeah, well, that's why he needed the condoms.
The Adventure of the Veiled
Yeah.
Lodger.
Use
What do you
protection,
think?
kids.
What do you think the Veiled Lodger is a euphemism for? That's him. That's
It's about
him.
having safe, protective sex.
Yeah, the condom is the veil and the lodger is his penis.
With Sherlock on the Mind, a book that I listened to the audiobook, but I'm
Yeah.
going to say I read this week was The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes
Ooh.
from 1892. It represents
Jesus Christ, those are old. Sherlock is old. How are they still making things out of Sherlock?
Not bored. It's one of, like, the most memorable, like, British IPs.
Yeah.
So they have to really keep
Is there
milking it.
anything else from that time that's like
That
still
time?
around?
I mean, like
Oh.
at that point,
Like
you're just
Star Wars,
from the
I
1800s.
guess?
You're just getting classic books like Dracula and whatever.
Yeah, just that
Yeah.
and like Star
Yeah,
Wars.
Journey to the Center of the Earth, 80,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Mm.
Crazy
your
that Dwayne the
Austins,
Rock
your
Johnson was
Brontes.
back then.
Yeah.
was still there back then. Yeah.
So
No, wait, that's Jumanji.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes represents the first dozen or so short stories that got published in the Strand. So Doyle started by writing the first 2 novels, Study in Scarlet and Sign of 4, and then started doing short stories in the Strand. And that, like, listening to this audiobook has just got me thinking so much about how the length of a story affects how we structure it. Because he was doing novels, and a novel. Just
highbrow contribution from you, Autumn. Nice palate cleanser from what I'm bringing to the podcast.
I just
So, Merlin, I'm bringing Gex quotes, okay? And you're bringing nuanced discussion of gender, okay? We are not the same.
Don't worry. Yeah, I was the one that brought Gex up. You're the one that won't let him die.
Wow, more women are maligned
he doesn't
every
deserve
day.
to die.
John,
He
you
doesn't
need to
deserve to
formally
die.
apologize to all women.
Oh. All women need to thank Gex for what he does.
All women, I would like to make an announcement. This is like an all-nighter at Richard Simmons' house.
We got a celebrity house.
Yeah, woohoo!
Welcome to the only thing more evil than the Inland Revenue Headquarters.
Okay. Is it okay if I continue with...
Yes,
No,
it
I
is.
think I have one more dumb joke to make.
Let's
Go
get...
on.
Okay, so... With Doyle hopping from a novel-length mystery to a short story-length mystery, he plays around a lot with, like, do you need a beginning, a middle, and an end for a story?
Ooh.
No.
And the answer is...
Is it yes? It's yes, isn't it? He fucks it
You
up.
need, like, some stuff to orient the viewer,
Yeah.
but having, like, a concrete, this is the beginning, you kind of don't have enough time to do that in a short story.
Is that...
Because ideally, a short story is like one event.
Is
Yeah.
it... Is
That-
it...
Well,
Is not having a beginning, a middle, and end a little bit like, showing a scene and then record scratch, this is how I got in this situation? Because that's starting with, like, the middle or the end, right?
So the way that it ends up manifesting for like most of these short stories is that someone will come and give a witness statement to Holmes, and then sometimes Holmes will barely do any thinking at all and just announce his solution. And it feels, for a mystery, I found that very, like, undercutting the point of the point of the problem, which was you could spend that whole witness statement thinking about it, but, like, at that point when you still feel like you're in the exposition stage, you're not in gear to be thinking about it in that way. But the other side of the... So, again, I think the answer to the question of do you need a beginning, middle, and end is yes, but not concrete.
Yes.
You probably should.
Yeah.
If you don't, you need to be doing it for a reason.
You need exposition and you need conclusion.
Yeah.
Because that is part of the way we just understand story.
And
I think that's kind of on, like, the fundamental level, even before we get into, like, cultural expectations of story. Like,
Is there anything which really, like, gets around having a beginning, a middle, and end well? That you can think of?
There's stories that play with timelines. The big example recently being Knives Out 2.
I haven't seen it. Also, isn't it Glass Onion?
It's called Glass Onion. I want to call it Knives Out 2.
I thought
Ryan Johnson will break into your
yeah,
house to kill you.
I thought he didn't want to call it a Knives Out.
Yeah. Which, like, I totally agree with. Death to all sequels, remakes, and adaptations. Hate you, biting you.
Except you, episode 8, you can stay.
Okay, fine. Delete the rest of Star Wars, but episode 8 only can stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you haven't seen Glass Onion, and the viewers haven't.
I haven't seen Knives Out, let alone Glass Onion.
So I won't spoil it. I don't think it's spoilery to say that it's told slightly out of order.
All the spoilers I have of it is just Among Us.
He does play Among Us.
But yeah, so
like out of order is cool.
Yeah, so out of the dozen adventures, my favorite is the one that most strongly had a structure. The Adventure of the Speckled Band, where they have a, like, dedicated investigation segment, and that was the strongest. But the other two that made the strongest impression were the two that were just Magnus Archives episodes.
Yeah.
Someone came to Holmes and spent 80% of the story telling the time they went to a spooky murder house, and Holmes solves it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, wow, that's really interesting that's how short story mystery fiction works. So then I hopped 30 years ahead and read an Agatha Christie novel this week.
Oh, lovely. How'd it go?
I read Death on the Nile. Bloody good book. I really liked that. That was my first Christie. I'm going to go read some more Christies after that. And just like hopping from a 1-hour short story to a 10-hour novel. And then when you think about other media, that's a 30-hour video game. Or on the back burner, I've been reading through the visual novel Umineko, which is about 100 hours for the whole story.
Wow.
And that's also a murder mystery. And like just completely different stories.
I think that's why like maybe TV shows have like come more popular because you necessarily tell like different longer stories and that kind of thing, right?
I've been getting really into movies lately the last couple years.
I feel like I've been getting into both a bit. I didn't really consume much media, but yeah. I don't know. Having watched more TV shows recently, especially UniSFA, because we watched like a lot, like over many weeks and whatnot. Movies can like almost feel like rushed to me. It's like when you're used to watching like 10 hours or like 8 hours of a TV show to get to the conclusion.
15 seasons, yeah.
Yeah. Not that much. But like being like, man, they've really got to get through the plot and then finish it in like 2 hours. It's like, man, things can feel rushed. Or at least that's my fear. Maybe I just haven't been watching good movies recently.
Yeah, well, I felt like living with my parents and like up until maybe 2020 or so, I was like a hardline TV person. I didn't really watch that many movies. But lately I've just found myself like really drawn to movies and like I like a nice cohesive narrative that's done at the end of the thing.
Yeah, it wasn't being handed off between different writers and different directors. Yeah. It was all
Which is
a
not
coherent
bad.
project. Yeah.
But it's just different to the way movies come together. And I'm starting to gain an appreciation for watching or like having like a one whole cathartic experience altogether type thing.
Yeah, I think I can appreciate that too, maybe. Just like a project I've been having for myself the past month, maybe 2 months, is just like not being addicted to my phone and when I'm watching media to just sit there and watch it.
Yeah, I noticed that when we were watching the Evangelion rebuild the other day.
Yeah, I found it's kind
you
of
were like locked on to Shinji.
It's kind of made me enjoy things a lot more of like it takes effort to like not like I don't know, I'm just in a habit of my life of like if I'm not doing anything, if I'm walking around, I just like check Discord, I just check my phone. I just check it. And like if there's a bit in a movie that isn't capturing me completely, I got into a habit of just checking my phone, checking Discord, especially in like screenings as well, because I did enjoy like talking to people. Yeah, but I'm trying to like move less from that, unless I'm like really not bored with the movie.
Yeah,
or I'm really bored with the movie, and then I'm like, okay, I've decided this event is for me is not about the movie, it's about the social interaction, and then I start talking to people and making jokes about the movie.
Oh, to be
but
fair,
I've been trying
that's
to
my favorite.
Yeah, it's really fun. But I've also just been trying to pay attention to what's going on.
Do you want to come to my house and watch Morbius?
Absolutely, yes, please.
Can I come?
Sure.
Can I come?
I have wanted to very deeply.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice. John, we might need to get you into knitting.
Into knitting?
Yeah, it's so like a thing you can do with your... Because I feel like it's easier to pay attention to the movie if my hands are doing something.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I do have, like, quite, like, fidgety hands sometimes.
I think I would get too distracted by knitting if I was...
Yeah, I feel like I might get distracted by knitting too.
And I think once you got the muscle memory down...
I think the main thing that happened is we were watching Twin Peaks, and
yeah,
that's something
Twin Peaks.
Right, that's something I'd be interested in watching, and so many of my friends are there who I love talking to and interacting, especially over media. But I want to, but I know if I did that, I wouldn't get the media. Yeah. That happened. We watched Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner in
there was
the
so
screenings.
much chatting over Ghost.
Right?
I'm not holding any.
No, I had a good time talking. But those were two movies I really wanted to see, and I got to the end of them, and I'm like, I actually didn't get the experience of those movies.
Yeah, I don't feel like
I was talking to my friends and whatnot, right? But I don't remember what happened. I literally couldn't tell you shit about what happened in Ghost in the Shell. I just was not paying attention. So I still need to rewatch that movie. Luckily, I didn't buy it. But that's what I've if I want to watch a media, right? I like doing it with my friends, but also trying to just pay attention to it. And it's making me enjoy things a lot more.
Cool.
And that's why I'm like kind of confident I can sit through like 6 Star Wars movies.
Was that like a New Year's resolution?
Not really.
Do you want to declare it one now?
I declared it. No, I already did New Year's resolutions on episode 20 of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We
well,
kind of
New Year's resolution was to indicate when I'm merging lanes more.
My New Year's,
that's
my
such
New
a
Year's
fair
resolution
New Year's
is to do more
resolution.
professional development at work.
Hell yeah.
I feel like being a better driver is not a bad news.
That's a really good
except
one.
for me.
Well, no, because like I indicate around corners, right? But it's not specifically legal or illegal to indicate or not if 2 lanes are becoming 1 or if 1 lane is becoming 2.
Yeah,
But I think it's polite to do that.
I always do it.
Yeah, I think 1 lane becoming 2 can be like a bit of a weird stance because you could be changing lanes or like merging.
It just can't hurt.
So
to
I'll just
indicate
play it
most
by
of the
ear
time.
there. But the 2 lanes merging into 1, I think, signals to the other drivers that yeah, I'm here, I'm paying attention, I'm not about to
I think
like
you
ram
have to. You have to when you do it. When you do
you?
2 into 1. Yeah.
So I'm gonna need the readers to be chill about this one and not be mean. But I had my first blind spot incident recently, where I tried to change lanes and my head check was insufficient.
Wait, how long have you been driving for?
Like 5 years or something.
Oh my god. Oh
I
my
had
god.
my first blind spot incident like 10 days after I got my P-Points.
Yeah, I've been driving for like 2 years and I've had like multiple of these.
Oh.
And I've got a blind spot mirror
Yeah.
in my mirror.
Yeah.
So
Really?
it's not like
Oh, that's what those are.
Yeah, I have like
Oh
no
my God.
excuse. I have literally no excuse of like
Yeah.
I check my mirror but I just don't check it like thoroughly enough or I do it too quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't see the blind spot mirror.
Yeah, no, I moved into the other lane and this guy in a red car, like, swerves, like, around me and starts, like, screaming at me, like, get off the fucking road. And he was right. Because I didn't check my blind spot enough. Sorry, red car guy. Anyway, Autumn, you were talking about being a safe, good driver.
Yeah.
Well, no, I got bleeped at quite rightfully for like trying to merge and it wasn't right, and then like I panicked and I swerved back into my own lane too badly. And I was on my way to do some Christmas shopping at Carousel, and then I was just like, I drove home. I went past Carousel. I did like a really long route to get home, and
it can
went
be
and slept.
really like when you like make a mistake driving and you like you know you don't get in, there's no trouble, you don't get into accident, but like,
it's like
it can be
kind of a
really
close
shaky.
shave,
Yeah. So sometimes on the road, like you make a mistake and you're like, "Fuck, man, that could have been the last one."
And this isn't a resolution because it's been something I've been affecting for like much longer, like quite a while. But like I've been trying to cycle more, and I've started cycling to work.
Hooray!
And I would be cycling to uni, but I'm like still trying to figure out: do I want to do the like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. cycle home in the dark?
Yeah.
No,
that's totally fair if you don't.
You can be one of those cool people with like the blinker lights on your bike.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut out more sugar from my diet because I want to start taking care of my body a little bit better.
That's good.
Teenage me is like vomiting, crying, screaming at this complete betrayal of their ideals.
What was their ideal?
I mean, like, I was super, super depressed, and I didn't think I was gonna live longer than, like, 21.
Aww.
So I was just kind of, like, being a piece of shit to my body and not really caring, because I just felt, like, so bad about who I was and my place in the world and how, like, I didn't perceive any kind of future. But, like, I've been living in, like, stable accommodation for, like, 2 years now. I'm engaged. I also have Alistair.
Sorry,
It's
just the way
kind
you
of weird
phrase that.
when you're, like, only engaged to one of your partners, and it's like...
You need to give some credit, right?
Yeah, there's kind
Like-
of this automatic, like, hierarchy between your relationships because one of them has been able to progress that point. But I love Alistair very much, and I would get engaged, but we're just not really at that point in our lives where we're, like, ready for that. But I don't consider them to be hierarchical. I have a savings account now.
Hell yeah.
I have one of the best support networks that I've ever had in my life. Things can get better. Like, this time, like, 2.5 years ago, I was sleeping in my car and spending, like, whole weeks awake because, like, there wasn't anywhere safe for me to be. But you know what? The happiness number go up.
Congratulations on
We're
that.
on the upswing.
It sounds like something's resolved. We call that a New Year's resolution.
Yeah. All
That's a
right,
good
check.
one.
2023, done. On to the next one.
Let's see what Gex has to say.
You
You're
didn't-
nothing. See? You're nothing.
Gex's direct attack on your mental health. Oh no.
Oh, Gex, what the fuck, man? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Fucking incredible.
I like. You can see on the audio
Yeah.
on the computer how the audio has just exploded.
Yeah.
Oh, Gex, you always know what not to say.
That's our little lizard boy.
Lizard boy.
Lizard boy.
Did Gex get bought by... Well, no.
Disney,
I
yes,
wanna
probably.
say Square Enix.
Yeah, Square Enix bought Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, because Crystal Dynamics also owned the IP for Deus Ex.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Talking about the Evangelion rebuilds, I need to admit that going into Evangelion Rebuild 1... What were you going to say, sorry?
I was going to say, we were not quite on the topic of Evangelion.
Look, okay, I needed to drag this...
It like ships in the wind.
I need to drag this... I need to drag this conversation around what Gex just said.
Yeah.
And I'm pulling at threads, and my hand
I think it would have been really
reached...
fucking funny to just end it there with us peeling with laughter.
No, we will end in sorrow. Not This is a tragedy, not a comedy. The tragedy is that the episode ends, and I have to say goodbye to my friends. I did think that... So, what ended up happening was that the Evangelion rebuilds are 4 films which retell the story of Evangelion over the course of 4 films, I assume.
Yes, asterisk.
To retell the story and change it.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah. It's difficult to, even to describe what the rebuilds are without spoiling the conceit. But retell asterisk is what I'm fine with.
A sort of alternate timeline.
I must admit that going into the rebuilds, I didn't think they would retell asterisk the story over 4 films. I thought they were going to retell asterisk the story each film.
Oh, like a cool time loop.
I thought each rebuild
was a separate rebuild?
Was going to be was a separate rebuild.
Oh.
So and each one was going to get further away from the original story. So in my head, rebuild 1.11 or 1 was just going to be what if Evangelion was a high budget movie instead of a TV show, and then 2 would be changing the story a little bit, and then 3 a little bit more, and then 4 would be like some completely different thing.
Yeah, the rebuild is rebuild.
Which makes sense that they didn't do that, because I can't imagine getting Evangelion into movie length, considering it was like a 25 episode long anime with like 20-minute episodes. Even then, it feels in the movies it does feel shorter.
Yeah.
It doesn't have my favorite bit about Evangelion, which is when they pause on a frame for like uncomfortably long amounts of time.
Yeah, almost like a flash animation.
Yeah. Some of my favorite or most memorable bits of Evangelion is just like Shinji going to Rei's apartment for the first time, and the shots are so painstakingly long.
Yeah, like long and protracted.
They're really long. The only sounds you hear is just this repeated like industrial murmuring, like in the background of machines. And it just, I don't know, it really like drags out the tension in such a way.
I think my favorite scene from Evangelion is where Asuka and Rei have just had a screaming match with each other. They are fucking furious. They, want the other one dead. And then they have to get into an elevator together and ride down 18 floors.
Isn't that... How long is that shot? It's just like...
I want to say it's almost 10 seconds of dead fucking silence.
Oh, it's got to be more than 10 seconds. I'm pretty sure... Wait.
Oh.
How long...
Because that's... 10 seconds is a long time to hold on something in a 20-minute episode.
Agreed. The implication of John Googling this is that we're going to watch a silent video.
Guess how... Okay, so your guess was 10 seconds?
Yeah.
How long was your guess? How long do you think it is?
17.
I haven't watched Evangelion.
How long do you think
17.
in this 20 minutes episode that they would hold one frame?
Oh, isn't it something
put it down for
bizarre
24.
2 minutes?
It's 53 seconds.
Yes.
No music, no camera changes, not even the flickering lights of Florgon or shifts in gear. It's one frame without music for 53 seconds.
Good.
My favorite is is Shinji is just like, he's like spoilers for Evangelion, one of the like first 10 episodes. He's like run away. He's he's about to get on the train and leave forever.
Yeah.
And fuck, what's her name?
Misato.
Misato comes after him, and it's just like, I don't remember what she says. I don't even know if she says anything. She just gets out of the car, and it's just a shot of her looking at Shinji across the train, and Shinji just on the train station, and it just sits there for fucking forever, and nothing happens because it's just one frame. But like the roller coaster of emotions and thoughts in my brain, I don't know. I really appreciate.
Yeah, they
I
really
talk about
give
this
you
a lot
like
when it
time
comes to
to
Evangelion.
like breathe and labor on an emotion. Whereas I feel
really
like
do.
watching Shinji like blink and sort of fidget, like in real time as he waits for Rei, kind of almost removes the like exquisite punch of it, because it's animation, so they do it like kind of exaggeratedly because they want to like show you the movements that Shinji's making. They want to make sure that you see it and take it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Benefits to both.
How long is this train station scene? You know what? No, this is all spoilers. Get me out of here. Gax, what do you have to say about Evangelion? Easy.
All right, great. Cam has a favorite discussion point that I don't know if I want to bring up while he's not here on the podcast, but also I thought
I think we'll be able to discuss it again.
All right.
We'll have different people.
John, is water wet?
It's me taking off my headset. And
Autumn, is water wet? I'm opening the floor.
I think there are arguments against me that I'm not equipped to refute, but it absolutely is.
Interesting, because I would say no.
I feel like Autumn has my sense as well of my. I'm gonna say yes, water is wet, but the arguments against water being wet, I don't have great evidence. It's just that you're wrong.
Yeah,
Alistair, if you're listening to this, you're wrong. Sand is also sandy.
You can pull out your dictionary definition, and I can't argue with that in a like completely mathematical sense.
Water definition make the things wet.
For me, the condition of wet is partially denoted by the boundary between something water and something solid. And that's because Cam and I were like talking about this a lot in like the car as we were trying to like settle on like where he and I like semantically differed on the argument. Because that's what we do when we're doing thought experiments like this. When we have a real argument, I just say, I'm going to go take a walk until I'm not angry and we can discuss it. Like, I've got to go feel the emotions and then I'll come back and we can talk about it. I love you, bye. But when we have an argument like this, we kind of just, like, go back and forth and, like, just kind of nail in, like, all the specific points on where he and I differ. And for me, yeah, I kept coming back to, I don't think water can be wet because there feels, for me, to be no barrier that is wettable.
So the barrier to me, I can't disagree with what you're saying. But if I was to imagine a
wet thing.
I'm imagining next to each other a wet beach ball and a wet sponge.
Yes.
And the beach ball has the way better defined boundary. Yeah. That wet sponge is way wetter than that beach ball.
Yeah.
And
because it's absorbed.
It's got more water content.
Yeah. And the wet sponge, so the wet sponge is wetter than the wet beach ball.
Well, that probably is because
there's the boundary on the inside of the sponge,
and then
the water's in there as well.
And then the wet water is much closer to the wet sponge than the
it's because the wet sponge has more water than the wet beach ball.
Yeah. It has more,
Yeah, well, I would say for me, there are two distinct objects in the wet sponge. There is the water and the sponge. Whereas, like, in just a quantity of water, there is one water and one water, creating one water.
There's arbitrarily quantifiable, little measurements of water in there.
Yeah, I don't think you can have a wet water.
By the way, I've done what I do to form the majority of my opinions. Is I've Googled it,
Yeah.
and the internet doesn't seem to be able to decide either.
We need to get you some knitting, John. Maybe you could knit the Gex quotes for us.
Maybe I can knit. Maybe I could knit wet water.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe I could knit a little Gex that says "water is wet." I want to. Yeah, what's Gex think about
Is
the water
Chase
is wet?
taking embroidery commissions at the moment? And if so, how much money would it be to get them to embroider me a Gex says water is wet?
That could be like a Jackbox T-shirt.
Yeah.
What does Gex think of the water is wet debate? Don't take career advice from Joe Piscopo.
Enigmatic.
Who's
A
Joe
real
Piscopo?
cryptic clue there.
A real cryptic crew. He's a man of mystery. He's
Yeah.
a gecko of mystery
Yeah,
and quotes.
So yeah, that's what I keep coming back to. It is the boundary between water and other, between the us and them.
Yeah, I keep coming back to that Incredibles meme of like, water is wet. You know, it's Mr. Incredible slamming down the table. It's like, why? Because it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Autumn, what's your conclusion? As we all know, a water is wet debate must have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
I think everyone should take a sip of water.
All I have is Lepsy.
All I've got is hand sanitizer.
Okay,
sip.
that'll do.
Oh, don't do the sounds.
That sounded great, Mel. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That's an episode.
So
I think-
yeah,
yeah.
the last time Cam brought this up, he and Alistair spent a whole evening ignoring me to argue with each other.
You sound like you really didn't mind, and you've really just enjoyed the moment there.
I was enjoying it and also annoyed by it because I got very quickly annoyed with the conversation.
Yeah, it does get pretty annoying.
Because I don't really have a lot of patience for circular arguments.
Yeah.
Because they were just going around and around in like more and more like asinine jumps. And I was like, guys, do you want to just like sit down and maybe watch some Taskmaster or some shit? And they were like, no, fuck you. We gotta move this to the fucking group chat. We've got to get everyone yelling and screaming about it.
I think those circular arguments can be funny if you like keep escalating it, like and you just like keep going until it's like you're not like arguing the bounds of water is wet. You're just like, you start like bringing other things into it, like, oh, I'm gonna ask all these people, and then you can like accuse them of being bribed, and you can say, well, I know water may not be wet, but your mother was last night, and
Haha,
like,
LeMayo.
just like keep going on, and
First point, sick own. I really liked it.
yeah.
Second of all, I'm glad that you have fun doing that. That sounds like a nightmare for me.
Look,
I think I just prefer discussions where we can keep like moving on to new points.
yeah,
Because
I mean,
I just get kind of antsy when it feels like. For me, I think ironic talking past each other and like actual talking past each other are the same, and they produce the same reaction
okay.
in me.
That's
So I get quite anxious when I hear that. I'm like, no, but argument, and they're like, haha, LeMayo.
I think it can be funny if I'm like, I don't know, making increasingly ironic bits out of it and using it as a thing to generate
If it was
things I
always
find
ironic
funny
from the start, that's cool. That's
yeah
fine.
no
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking of like actual debates, maybe not like fully ironic ones.
Yeah, I like my debates and discussions to be either fully ironic or fully unironic.
To each their own. What is I think Gex likes his discussions. Is this the year of the gecko?
I mean, that could be a discussion topic.
Is it the year of the gecko?
I don't think so. I think it's the year of Luigi. As it has been since, I want to say 2006?
2013.
2013. I was just blindingly off.
Because he debuted in 1983. It was his 30th birthday.
Yeah, well, they never ended the year of Luigi. So we're still in the era of the epoch of Luigi.
So according to Google, it's the year of the rabbit, but a rabbit is basically a gecko. They both jump.
The Year of the
And they
Rabbit
both
doesn't.
spit out good like one-liners.
Wait,
The Year of the Rabbit doesn't actually start until Lunar New Year.
yeah,
which
is it
is like
the
in
lunar?
It's late January.
Yeah, late January, early February.
Oh, so we're still, what,
yeah,
year of
because
the
my birthday's
gecko?
the 13th, so I just snuck into the year of the rat.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good year.
That's a pretty good
Rat.
year.
Rat. Year of the rat.
But
Getting
if
ready
I'd been
for
born when I
another.
was meant to, I would have been year of the ox.
Also a good year. There's just some cool animals in the zodiac, isn't
Yeah.
there? So yeah, it's still, because it's not the year of the rabbit yet, it's the year of the gecko.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whenever there's any kind of disagreement about which year it is, the gecko gets to sneak in and take over.
Exactly.
Shocking.
Did you guys ever watch Fruits Basket? The old anime Fruits Basket?
This is one of the many great pieces of media that I got completely secondhand via my younger sibling.
I haven't
yeah.
I haven't consumed any anime unless it's Evangelion. Now the first like 4 episodes of Cowboy Bebop, or it's like SAO season 1. That's all my anime.
Yeah. So first of all, John, I think we
And a bit
should
of
watch
Serial Experiments Lane.
Kakagurui together, because it is one of the most unrelenting, not the horniest anime I've ever seen, but it is like surprisingly and like devastatingly horny in a way that I don't think anyone appreciates.
Devastatingly horny?
Like,
What is it
kind
gonna
of
do to me?
Distressingly and upsettingly horny.
Oh.
Cause like Kaijo, you know, the ass sport anime. I wish there was another way to phrase that, but they use their butts as like martial weapons against each other. That was horny, but like that was its purpose. It wasn't like doing any kind of like larger theme. It was like, yep, they're girls. They have boobs. Look at them. And you know what? If that's the art that you want to create, more power
Go
to
for
you.
it, you
Yeah,
know.
do
Someone
it.
has to do it.
But Kakaguru was also trying to tell a story about, like, gambling and, like, how far you will go. But also, like, everyone was just, like, so turned on every second. Like, every character, every animator. Like, I feel as though I could reach out and, like, I would begin to brush sexual tension before my fingertips hit the screen.
I feel like I feel like Merle, just knowing you would also describe Disco Elysium like this.
No, I mean...
Just
no.
that final quote. No.
I think it is fun to pretend that Kim and Harry date after the game. I think that an actual relationship between the two of them would be very unhealthy.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It is fun in my brain to bash them together like Barbie dolls, but I can be an adult and say that I don't think they should get together.
I guess
in
I
canon.
meant it in like the ironic sense.
Oh,
The
yeah.
ironic, like,
Ironically,
Tumblr
they
exaggeration.
fucked on screen, and we heard from every single one of Harry's internal voices.
Wait,
there was a
that's
quick
actually
time
sounds
event
pretty
for
funny.
boning. Yeah.
No. What were we talking about? Rail meet D.
Sorry, what?
What?
Rail meet in the 4th letter of the alphabet, because it's derailed.
Okay, so what I heard you say, John, and I mean this completely the words that I heard come out of your mouth
did say
was "rail me deep."
No, I said rail meet D. Like,
Are you sure?
I heard the words that John is claiming he said, and they still weren't very good.
Yeah.
look,
Am I insane?
if I had a nickel for every time I didn't think about how something could be heard before I said it today, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Isn't that weird? Also, what else did you say?
No, I'm not bringing it up because
Aw.
it's weird.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Autumn was there, and and she and someone else was like, that can be interpreted a really bad way, and I'm like, fuck. And so I'd rather not bring it up here.
Yeah, no worries. I'm not going to force it.
Yeah, that we went to the. Oh.
No, don't bring it up.
Well, no,
then
we
people
were-
can find out.
We were in the Japanese food place at Broadway, and I was regretting. I'm trying to change the topic. I'm trying
You're
to derail
changing the
us.
topic by bringing up the exact context of when it happened.
Well, at the time, I was wishing that I'd gone to Ararats instead, and then I got my food, and it was really nice. So I no longer regret that.
Nice.
Win.
Win, win, win.
Win, 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 win.
So I've been watching a lot of Taskmaster recently.
I'm not gonna lie, Merle.
Yeah.
Can I be a hater for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my god!
I was at your house, and you and Jack were watching Taskmaster.
Yeah, I know you wanted to be watching Evangelion.
I did. I was like, should I bring up that like?
Yeah, no, I just
guys,
wanted
can
to.
we watch I was like, no, I'll let them finish the episode,
Yeah.
and it ended up being fine. The timing was like perfect. I got to where I wanted to we finished the movie, and I got to where I wanted to be, and I had food,
Yeah.
and it worked out perfectly.
My bad.
But, like,
I didn't realize that you had to be going somewhere. Otherwise, I would
yeah, I
have
don't
been...
think I established that when I told you. So it's all good. It's
Yeah.
all good. But
No
I
one's
was
fault.
watching it and was like,
Yeah.
this is like...
Jack and I have gone back to the early seasons where the tasks are less zany. Because, of course, once you do the task, you can't do that task ever again. You
Yeah.
have to come up with a new one. So they become progressively madder and madder.
All right.
So we were watching some episodes from the first season because we wanted to see where it all began, how it all started.
Fair enough. It seemed just, like, all right to me. Like, I watched it and I was like... It, like, tickled a bit of entertainment in me. But at the same time, I was like, I don't see the hype in it.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no. Once they get to the tasks where it's like... Alex Horn is riding a little bicycle with a basket around a tree. You have 115 different sized rubber duckies. You must put all of the rubber duckies in Alex Horn's basket by only moving one at a time. Whenever he plays one of his bike horns, you must run forwards. Whenever he plays the other one, you must run backwards. There are several magic words that will make him stop for 10 seconds, but you don't know what any of those words are.
Okay, I'm sold. I want to watch that episode.
Yeah,
So
okay.
my proposed strategy for this is you relay the duckies towards him by just chucking the entire pile as far as you can, and then walking up to the new pile and chuck that as far as you can.
He is, like, going around in a big circle around a tree.
Okay.
What if you got, like, all of them into, like, one pile, like, really close to the tree, and then you could just, like, stand there and, like, put them in.
So
or, like, go back and forth a bit. If you just honks, like, both of them a lot, and then you're in one place, and then you can just...
So I have watched a couple of Taskmaster clips as they popped up on
Yeah,
the internet,
yeah.
and I did find them deeply entertaining. It seems like something I'd be interested in. But I think the
Yeah,
reason
a ton of the seasons are on binge right now.
the reason I was interested in the first place is that it's been pitched to me that the like person who masterminds it, who might be the Alex Horn
The
you just mentioned,
Yeah.
is like an ARG writer or something.
What?
Yeah,
They-
so
they
Greg
run
Davies is, like, the
ARGs.
host. He is the taskmaster. But
Yeah.
it is Alex Horn, also known as Little Alex Horn, who, like, devises the tasks and, like, kind of, like, oversees them and, like, supervises them when the contestants are
The
actually
Grand
doing them.
Overseer. Yeah.
But he, like, kind of... You know, they write this show so that Greg is, like, the mastermind, and that Alex is, like, his little henchman. And in the later seasons, they have this almost, like, quasi-romantic sort of back and forth, which I find just very endearing and sweet to watch.
Aww.
Because, like, in the middle of the Duckies challenge, Judy Love is saying... Alex, you don't need to be doing this. Why are you doing this? And Alex, like, through tears, is like, I'm doing it for him.
My next proposed strategy would be to knock him off the bike and bring the basket to the ducks.
Well. And that's all I will say on that matter.
Ooh.
Okay.
I can't see a thing in this helmet. That's what Gex says.
You could put a bucket on top of Alex Horn's head so that he cannot see you moving multiple ducks at once.
The TV crew can, but they're not allowed to snitch.
Yeah, exactly.
No snitches.
And something I like about the beginning of Taskmaster is that there's a little object challenge at the top of every episode where you get, like, a prompt like, what would be the loveliest thing to hold above your head? And everyone brings in an object that they think would be lovely to hold above their head, and then Greg Davies will, like, rank them, like, with points, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, depending on who did the
Let's
best.
go.
But what I thought would be fun to posit to you guys, to the two of you, best item to give to an alien in the event of first contact.
Bucket. This is a reference.
Get out.
I'm leaving. See ya.
Um,
I don't know. Don't we have like time capsules made for this? Can we like quickly
That's-
put one of those together?
That's someone else's idea. You have to come up with
Oh,
an
I have
idea
to come
for
up with
this.
an
Yeah.
idea.
So you're meeting an alien, and you've been asked to bring, like, a little, like, object with you to symbolize, I don't know, whatever you want.
I'm gonna bring a
just
pistol.
Yeah, okay. What does the pistol symbolize?
The pistol symbolizes if you try and fuck with me, I'm clocking you with this Glock, Mr. Alien.
If you fuck with me, I'm prepared to kill up to 6 of you.
Yeah.
So,
No, up to 18. Glock 18.
Ah, yes, of course.
Right. I'm bringing self-defense measures. Right? Because they're aliens. Right? Close encounters of the third kind. No, I'm staying a long way away.
Yeah.
So my
Never bring a close encounter to a gunfight.
So my item that I'm gonna bring for the alien, I think, obviously, I want mine to be a measure of goodwill and a measure of something that will communicate to the alien quickly that we can quickly that I come in peace, I'm sentient, I understand logic and art.
Nice furry coat.
And I think the way that the even if they don't have hearing as a sense, I think sound is going to be the best way to reach to them because we can't guarantee that they have sight or sound or smell, but they will have they'll be able to feel vibrations.
Yeah, they'll be able to pick up waves of some kind because they got over here.
So out of all the musical instruments I could bring, I think I need to find some kind of balance of something that will be deep and hearty enough that even something without hearing could feel those vibrations. But I think also if I just blasted a foghorn, they'd probably take that as some kind of of attack. So I think it would have to be maybe a tuba or a baritone.
I don't feel like a tuba is I feel like if you're saying no foghorn, going tuba is probably not the best choice.
Maybe a tenor sax or
what
something.
About just
or
a guitar?
maybe a trombone.
What about just a guitar? What about a harmonica?
I thought you were going to say one of those little musical note guys with the little faces that you squeeze.
An automaton.
Yeah, an automaton.
No, yes, that.
that
might also be aggressive.
That might
if you had to show,
that might confuse them about what the organism is.
No, hold on, because here's where I want to talk about my item.
Yes,
because the item that I would bring to the air, this won't encourage a positive first contact, but I think it would be funny to bring a little model of a little green man to them.
I'd bring a sort of
be
little green
this
man
is what we
model
thought
to
you were gonna look like. Sorry if that's insensitive. Bye.
Just bring them a lot of alien fiction.
Yeah.
I bring a kind of little green man vibe to the close encounter of the third kind that the aliens don't really like. What song would if you're introducing the aliens to music, you need to do a song which encapsulates humanity, and you think would be the perfect thing to first give.
Not Imperial March.
To the aliens. What song? Please do one that our audience would know.
Oh, okay, well.
Okay, I've got my idea for a song, if you want me to start.
I mean, I had an idea for a song at first, but then you said that it had to be one that the audience knows, and now I don't have any ideas.
Okay, I could bring up the emo songs I know that no one knows, okay? What's the fucking song?
I want to hear yours, Mel.
Yeah.
So, when I was dating Eleanor, the first song that she ever played on the piano for me was Nuovo Bianchi. Bianchi? It's in Italian. It's not in Italian. It's by an Italian composer called Ludovico Einaudi. And I remember being, so moved upon hearing it that, I was in tears by the end of the song.
Wow.
Partially because I found it very, very beautiful, but also the effort that Eleanor had gone to, learn it and to be able to, do this reproduction for me. And I think that that's what I would show the aliens.
Yeah, so my answer was I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys.
No, I would play Seabat for the aliens. So we're gonna wreck all of these songs, right?
That way. Tell me why ain't nothing. Autumn, what's your answer?
What if we could undercut every other country and plot waltzing Matilda in there?
Yeah, they've landed on Melbourne.
You're not visiting Earth, you're visiting Australia right
now.
No,
okay, if it was choose a folk Australian song, it would be I Love to Have a Beer with Duncan.
What about Land Down Under?
I mean, that would be pretty good, but they have
I mean,
to know
it's
about how
literally
much I
about-
love to have a beer with Duncan.
It's literally about, like, people learning about Australia and foreign countries.
It's
and they're
literally
basically
about
foreigners.
people throwing up at a rainstorm.
I think that we should show them...
Which is
I
also,
think we should get them to listen
posted
to
part of
Pub
the
with No
national
Beer,
culture.
the classic Australian folk, which tells the tragic story of a pub with no beer.
One of the Lost Morbius episodes has 20 minutes of me reading a Henry Lawson poem.
One of the Lost and Morbius episodes?
Yeah.
How did they get lost?
What happened to
Jack has one edited one on his computer, and there is one unedited one on my computer.
So they're not lost.
They're not lost, they're just unreleased.
Yeah.
Okay, we can call them lost.
I
I'm okay
call
with
them
it.
lost
They're
because
lost
Jack
media.
has the templates, so only he can edit them.
Sorry, Odin, what was your song again?
I had a name. Oh, I guess Waltzing Matilda.
Yeah, okay.
we could-
My other suggestion was We Didn't Start the Fire.
Oh yeah, to really catch him up to date on 20th
To really
century
catch
history.
the
Yeah.
date onto what happened
Yeah.
long ago.
Hard smash cut to when you accidentally play We Can't Fight the Homestuck.
We can't find the home song. This is the song we will play for the aliens. I click play. The president clicks play on the phone. 4, 3, 2. Fuck you.
you.
Oh shit! Wrong song. Sorry, that was just the last one I had playing.
Are we just recreating a scene from Monsters vs. Aliens?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, we are.
Absolutely, we are.
Monsters vs. Aliens was in the. Oh, sorry. We did a screening recently, which was the best
Yeah.
movie screenings of 2022.
Yeah.
And we had nominations, and all 5 were just terrible or really good films that we found funny.
Yes.
Sometimes both. Monsters vs. Aliens was on that list, and I kind of want to rewatch it because
So for me, Monsters vs. Aliens, perfect 5 out of 10 movie, except for one joke which, like, is 10 out of 10 and launches the whole movie into a solid 6.5 out of 10 for me.
what's the joke?
When the missing link gets out of the plane, because he hasn't been outside in a very, very long time, for like 1,000 years maybe. No. Yes, no, he's been frozen in a cube of ice, and then since he's been unfrozen...
He's just been locked in an underground facility.
Yeah, he, like, got to rampage, like, once, but then they put him, like, getting the secure containment missing link. Anyway, so he gets out on his way to fight, like, a fucking kaiju or whatever, and he looks around and he's like, has the Earth gotten warmer? It feels warmer. That'd be a really convenient truth. And the first time that I really processed that joke, like, I was on the ground fucking bawling with tears.
Oh, the thing about Monsters vs. Aliens is when I watched it as a kid and could
Yeah.
barely remember it, I got a Happy Meal toy of it. And going into that screening, I was expecting it to be, like, the most fucking, like
they wrote that movie for
basic,
parents. Yeah.
the most basic ass, like, kids movie, boring plot, most forgettable thing ever, and it was literally one of the funniest movies I had seen in so long. Like, there's so many good jokes there, and yeah, they
Yeah.
wrote it for parents. It's honestly, like, if you like Megamind... No, I feel like it's a bit different than Megamind humor. But it's still really funny. And it needs recognition. The animation is... The way they animate, like, humans in that film are a little weird. But yeah. Do you want to watch Monsters vs. Aliens again sometime, y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, Meryl?
Yeah.
We
we can double
We can
book
do
it
it
with
after the
Morbius.
Morbius, yeah. One on each side.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Okay. I think it's about time we wrap up. Do you have any final thoughts?
So my final thought is, who would be your ideal podcast guest, John? Living or dead? Anyone from history? Who would you want?
I think the ideal podcast guest for us is quite obviously Stefan from Stefan's Books.
Yo, I think you could swing that though.
Yeah, no, actually. 50th episode.
Yo!
This isn't an official announcement. This is an announcement of my hopes and dreams.
This
Yeah.
is
Yo, what if?
Depending on whether or not Stefan is already an avid listener.
Stefan's an avid listener? Either that or Gabe Newell.
Yeah, I think we could get Gabe.
Either that or Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Brando
Oh, no,
Sando?
William Shakespeare. Brando Sando.
He does do a podcast. Maybe we could get him to call in.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mark Rosewater.
Yeah.
Mark Rosewater. He does a podcast.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just
Patrick
thinking of people-
Rothfuss isn't writing any of his books. Maybe he has time to be on our podcast.
Yeah. J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
What about your podcast guests?
I think it would be fun to get either George Columbaris or Obama on the podcast.
Who's George Columbaris?
From MasterChef?
Yeah, he's a chef. He got in trouble a couple of years back because his restaurants were underpaying people.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, I assume it's the restaurant's fault. George Columbaris isn't sitting in his office like, I will oppress the worker.
Oh no, he's the third one. Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah, MasterChef was Matt. Everyone
I remember
knows
it
Matt
being the
Preston,
nice
and then there's
one,
Gary
the
and
mean
George.
one, and also this guy.
And I couldn't remember which one was Gary and which one was George.
Mm.
Autumn, podcast host.
Tony Galati.
What? So, I'm googling a lot this episode. Tony Galati. Who is Tony Galati? Spudshed founder. Oh my god. His eyebrows are the biggest eyebrows I've ever seen.
Apparently my roommate saw him at the foreshore this week.
Oh.
Apparently.
You know who I'd love to get on the podcast is Trudy,
Merlin
Canavan.
squinting at a
Yeah.
shelf across from it.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, Trudy
wait, no.
Canavan, so I could trick Ed into meeting her.
Actually, I've thought of a really good answer.
Okay.
Tim Winton.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to have Tim Winton. I want to ask him why he made The Turning so depressing.
Why did you make Blueback? Why did you make Cloud Street?
Apparently he was at the freaking
The opening night
the
for
opening
Blueback?
for Blueback, which I was working at.
Yeah.
He probably got a drink from me and I didn't even know. This sucks.
Wow, you missed your chance to really show him who's boss.
If we're just gonna... Okay, as we're working through the list of Perth celebrities, could we get Tim Minchin? No, we couldn't. Sorry, yeah.
We could
Can
get Heath
we
Ledger.
get to mention? No, we can't.
Could we get Basil Zampalis?
Maybe.
There've got to be, like, a good half dozen YouTubers who I haven't heard of who are really famous in
Could
the
we
red
get
circles.
the Backstreet Boys to perform?
We could get
want
Game
it
Grumps
that way.
Ross to be on the podcast. He's from Perth.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is he?
Yeah.
I feel like you're lying.
I'm not.
I'm trying to think... If we try to think through classic UniSFA individuals, the only
We could
person I know is
get
Gwen's
David
dad.
Cake to be on the podcast. We could get Dave Thatcher. I'm just listing off all of the old guard that I didn't like dealing with for library removals. We could get the fresher rep from 1987, who was so wonderfully forthcoming with their opinions.
Autumn, what's your final thought?
My final thought.
Yeah.
Last one. Make it a good one.
Yeah.
Yippee!
My final thought is, the princess is here, in the detention level. Sorry, I stole Gex's final thought. No, I need a different final thought to Gex.
Yeah.
My final thought is, Gex. Not 100 Gex.
Go play a Gex game.
Go play a Gex. No, my
Go
final
play a
thought
Gex
is,
game.
this is who 100 Gex were named after. Gex's final thought is, indigestion!
Colby is the middle of the toy. That's not an accent. I have no idea what that was. That was just... That was throwing like a bag of accents down a set of stairs and seeing what fell out.
These are nice headphones.